Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Logically Left. I am your host, Jeff Waldorf, and I've got some interesting stories today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. First, I'm going to talk about the Afrikaner so-called refugees coming in from South Africa, and how MAHA is not thrilled with the Episcopal Church. So, interesting. We also have some MAHA. We're going to be talking about that. And the newest pick for Surgeon General. So that's an interesting story, too. And some of MAHA are not getting along. Shocker. We then have had a standoff in front of the Library of Congress. What happened? Who was involved? We are going to talk about it. Then we have a Mike Lee bill that is going after pornography. What small government conservatives, small government, are trying to ban your porn. Of course. And then finally, to kind of cap off the day, a little bit of an uplifting story, Gus Walz. So as the 18-year-old son of Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota was recently interviewed. I'm going to talk about that because I think it's a really great story about an individual who is, it seems like just a really good person, and of course faced some backlash from the far right for daring to show positive emotion. Oh my God. Oh God, no. How dare you?
Oh no.
Yes, Hassan Piker also got accosted at the airport while coming back from France, I believe. And so, yeah, there's that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be covering that. And not only that, but Hassan's going to be talking about it as well. Probably, if he hasn't already. It's disgusting. It's disastrous. It's just more evidence of how far we have fallen as a country under Trump's rule, under the regime of a madman, a racist madman. But anyway, that said, why don't we dive in first to that, to the story about the Episcopals and how MAGA is not happy with them. All right. It appears that the right wing is furious at the Episcopal Church for ending their refugee resettlement partnership with the federal government. This is after the Trump administration not only ended many of the refugee programs itself, but in the face of that, have given preferential treatment to a particular group of people, which happens to be white South Africans, of course. Presiding Episcopal Bishop Sean Rowe announced on Monday in a statement that the church was ending their joint program with the federal government shortly before 59 South Africans arrived at Dulles International Airport outside Washington on a taxpayer-funded charter flight. So, yeah, we paid for that. Well, what a great use of our money, helping out allies of Elon Musk. Great. Now, in light of our church's steadfast commitment to racial justice and reconciliation, said Rowe, and our historic ties with the Anglican Church of Southern Africa, we are not able to take this step. Accordingly, we have determined that by the end of the fiscal year, we'll conclude our refugee resettlement grant agreements with the U.S. federal government. Now, Rowe also wrote that it's been painful to watch one group of refugees selected in a highly unusual manner. Again, no other administration has done something like this, right? It's the Trump administration picking out this group of people and saying, come on in, while closing the door on everyone else. He said, He said that they have been receiving preferential treatment over many others who have been waiting in refugee camps or dangerous conditions for years. I don't know, man. This kind of sounds like a principled stance here. And generally, we don't do that here in America. Oh, no, of course not. But yes, he is correct that white South Africans have been allowed to bypass a refugee system where thousands of people in different conflict zones, not just conflict, by the way, also places where you've had natural disasters that have devastated the area. You know, you've had people that have gone through this that have been waiting in refugee camps or dangerous positions or all that stuff, and they're stuck in years-long vetting processes in these dangerous conditions. They will be continued to wait, forced to wait, but don't worry, the white South Africans, they can come on in. Okay, yes. Look, it's not even that they shouldn't be allowed to immigrate here if they want. Okay, I'm fine with that. But my problem is Trump is letting these people skip the line. And of course, I think we all know why he's letting this particular group of people skip the line. Okay. And now Rowe also noted that the previously bipartisan U.S. refugee admissions program in which the church was active has already essentially shut down. So really, they're not really, doing a whole lot anyway. So what's the point? And said that virtually no new refugees have arrived because Trump shut it down. Hundreds of staff and resettlement agencies around the country have been laid off, and funding for resettling refugees who have already arrived has been uncertain. Yes, with a lot of the Musk, Doge freezing of monies, of programs. Okay. And Rowe added, as Christians, we must be guided not by political vagaries, but by the sure and certain knowledge that the kingdom of God is revealed to us in the struggles of those on the margins. Oh, wow. Looking out for the poor and the needy. Kind of sounds like, a little bit socialist. I know. And right wing hates that. Oh, boy, did they hate it. And we must follow that command right now. What that means is ending our participation in the federal government's refugee resettlement program and investing our resources in serving migrants in other ways. So, of course, they're still going to help people. They're just not going to do it with the federal government. So there you go. Over these 59 Afrikaner refugees. So why are they refugees? What are they fleeing from? Nothing really. I mean, look, here's the thing. These people are descendants of Dutch Afrikaners who immigrated to South Africa hundreds of years ago. Okay. And what they did when they took over is they basically, yes, they took over and imposed a brutal discriminatory regime called apartheid that was in place until 1990. As a result of those policies, white farmers owned about roughly 70% of all the commercial farmland in the country, even though white South Africans themselves only make up about 7% of the population. So, they own the means of production, food production, in South Africa as a minority. Now, the South African government, of course, has been attempting to remedy that situation. They mainly have been offering to buy out those farms, but they did pass a bill that would allow them to basically use eminent domain. Okay, but they haven't done that yet. All right. Now, right-wingers, of course, are calling this a genocide. They're genociding them. No, I'm not saying that there hasn't been some incidences of violence in this area. There has been, yes, but it's nowhere near a genocide. I mean, it is funny how they call this a genocide when there is an actual genocide that is happening in Gaza, and they don't give a damn. And they're actively supporting the people that are committing the genocide by sending them weapons and money. Although, to be fair, the Biden administration had also done the same thing. So they don't really care about Palestinians. In fact, no U.S. administration that I know of has ever really cared about the plight of the Palestinian people. So let's be fair about that. Now, that said, Roe wasn't the only person upset about Trump's fast tracking of American citizenship for white South Africans. He noted that I am saddened and ashamed that many of the refugees who are being denied entrance to the United States are brave people who have worked alongside our military in Iraq and Afghanistan and now face danger at home because of their service to our country. Yeah. So let me just go back and say that Roe, he wasn't only upset about the fact that Trump is fast tracking them. It's the fact that they are shutting down Iraqi and Afghanistan refugees, from actual very dangerous places where you have, for example, the Taliban in charge that would kill these people. Yeah. And look, this is an incredibly racist policy from this administration, allowing the people who are not in danger to essentially leapfrog the line over people who are likely to be murdered before being even allowed to step foot in the United States. But that's what white supremacy looks like. That's it. Now, that said, I mentioned that right-wingers online are furious at the church, of course. Charlie Kirk took to Twitter/X to write, I guess you were a refugee if you're white. According to the Episcopal Church, Jesus doesn't love white people. Hey, Jesus wasn't white either. So I'm just saying. All right. The overreaction here from the right wing, of course, is not only comical, but just absolutely insane. Alex Jones wrote, and this is funny and ironic, all federal funds must be pulled from the Episcopal Church. It's time to enforce the separation of church and state. Oh, okay. First off, they've already quit the partnership. Okay. The federal funding won't be there. They literally just quit already. And they're like, we're not going to take any of the federal funding. We're just going to do our own thing with our own money and help out these the other refugees. Okay. So congratulations. I guess you just won on this one. All right. I mean, it kind of sounds like the whole, you can't quit, you're fired kind of thing. Like, bro, you're missing the whole point. But it is funny how Jones does mention the separation of church and state because it's the only time they actually, said that they believed in it. At any other time, when they're trying to curtail the rights of LGBTQ plus people and women, they love the church getting involved in politics. Oh yeah, we're Christian national. Oh no, not when we're actually dealing with treating immigrants well, welcoming the immigrant, feeding the poor and all that stuff. No, can't have it. Can't have it. Senior counsel at the Article 3 Project, Will Chamberlain, wrote, how could one in good conscience remain in the Episcopal Church after a stunt like this? I don't know. It kind of sounds like a good place to be, the Episcopal Church. Vice President J.D. Vance simply called this crazy. Oh, it's so crazy. This reaction is over telling these South Africans to just simply wait in line like everyone else. I mean, if you didn't believe that Donald Trump and the Republican Party are racist, I mean, come on.
The Republican Party's racist.
It's pretty obvious. It's a great example. They're literally ignoring all the other refugees of color. Except, of course, they're not really ignoring them so much as far as, deportations are concerned. Because they're deporting the Haitians and Venezuelans after basically, getting rid of their legal ability to be here, their temporary protected status. Okay, so they're ripping that away and then deporting Venezuelans and Haitians, sometimes sending them to CCOT over in El Salvador, while at the same time fast-tracking the importation of white South Africans to make them citizens, by the way. Gee, I wonder how they're going to vote. When Republicans tell you, oh, the Democrats are importing voters so they can win elections. There's no evidence of that at all. In fact, there's a lot of the, Venezuelans and Cubans, especially, that are right-wing. They're conservative. Okay. But when they tell you that, they're projecting. This is exactly what they wanted to do. They're importing white South Africans, fast-tracking them to citizenship so they can get white right-wing voters. Of course. And that's instead of making them go through the same process as everyone else. Look, I think refugees should be about need and where they're coming from and how much danger they're in. But when it comes to Elon Musk and Donald Trump, it's not about that. It's about racism. It's about conspiracy theories. Okay? So, Episcopal Church, y'all made the right decision in ending your partnership with this criminal regime. Because that's what it is. Now, that doesn't mean, again, that the Episcopal Church won't be helping people. They'll just be working outside of this, I think, this regime in order to do it. So I do appreciate that they have people in there of conscience, good people. And while I'm not a religious person, I think this is a great thing to do. This is how you do it. This is how you actually hold fast to your faith. And I do hope that in the future, people are going to remember those who took a stand against white supremacy and those who had aided and abetted it. Okay. So there you go on that one. Moving on. President Donald Trump continues to try to hire the best people, the greatest people. His newest hire happens to be a conspiracy theorist and self-styled Make America Healthy Again wellness influencer, because that's who should absolutely be leading as the Surgeon General. And the best part, of course, is the fact that she is not even licensed to practice medicine. Yes, Surgeon General who actually really can't practice medicine at all. In a Truth Social post on Wednesday, the president said that he was choosing Dr. Casey Means, a practitioner of so-called functional medicine, who was a close ally of RFK Jr. In his announcement, he cited her impeccable MAHA credentials, whatever that is, because I don't really think that's a replacement for having real credentials. He said that Means, who completed her initial medical education at Stanford University's medical school, but dropped out of an ear, nose, and throat residency program at the University of Oregon, currently has no active medical license, would work closely with Kennedy to ensure a successful implementation of our agenda in order to reverse the chronic disease epidemic and ensure great health in the future for all Americans. Now, he made this pick after withdrawing his initial choice days before she was scheduled to go before the Senate for a confirmation hearing. So, now, here's the funny thing, right? Oh, yeah, I chose her to help us fight chronic disease. You chose someone who doesn't seem to understand how chronic disease actually works. Great choice. Great choice. Now, hold on here. What happened to his previous pick? That's Dr. Jeanette Neshawat. Well, it turns out that according to MAHA, she was a bit too qualified, if you know what I mean. Oh, no. What do I mean? Well, in a post on X, formerly Twitter, Laura Loomer, yes, she got loomered, by the way. She accused Neshawat of being not ideologically aligned with Donald Trump or his administration. and their health initiatives. Quote, she used her access on Fox News to promote the dangerous COVID vaccine, which is now killing millions of people. I mean, talk about living in a complete alternative reality. Okay, where were the millions of people being killed by the vaccine? That's ridiculous. Now, she added, she tries to shame people who didn't take the vaccine by calling them global health threats. You know, that's true. It's not trying to shame them. It's basically pointing out a reality. Yes, you are a health threat to people who cannot get vaccinated, people who are disabled, okay? Low immune systems, you know, the elderly, children. Yes, you are a health threat. Sad day for you. Okay, now, here's the thing. Also at issue, apparently, was where Neshawat graduated from, which was a school in the Caribbean, right? Hey, at least that's an education. I mean, I'm just saying. Now, Jerome Adams, the former Surgeon General who served in that role during the first Trump administration, is critical. He wrote on X that he did not know what was more troubling. The possibility that, quote, stigma against foreign medical graduates, which is what she was, would have led to her nomination being withdrawn, or the possibility that would have been due to her support for vaccination. The FMG talk is ill-informed and troubling. Much of our U.S. medical care, especially rural, depends on foreign grads, and Dr. N completed a U.S. residency, which is where you really learn how to practice medicine anyway, hoping this doesn't stigmatize docs who trained outside the U.S. Again, he pointed out something important. Completing your residency is where you learn how to practice medicine. Casey Means never finished her residency, which means she has no idea how to practice medicine. And yet she is likely, at least right now, she's the acting Surgeon General. That is effed up. But here's the ironic thing about all of this, right? Now, it turns out that even Casey Means is dividing MAHA. That's right. She might be too pro-vax for them. What? That's right. Anti-vaxxers are arguing that she isn't sufficiently committed to RFK Jr.'s views on vaccination. Mike Adam, who goes by the Health Ranger, oh boy, yes, the Health Ranger, says she is not a health freedom advocate. She's not a vaccine truther. She'll never recommend natural cancer cures or remedies that don't work. She's basically cosplaying as a MAHA champion. Suzanne Humphreys writes, I can't help but think that this is a very carefully groomed and selected person. Just about no clinical experience. Talks a great game about everything but vaccines. Feels all wrong. Yes. Now, there's a lot wrong here. Now, Loomer also mocked her for being, quote unquote, a woo-woo woman who literally talks to trees and spiritual mediums. Are you aware of the people inside the MAHA movement? Really? I mean, seriously? She added that Means is a, quote, total crackpot and a Marxist tree hugger. Oh, if only. If only. Look, the infighting, of course, gives me life. For example, on the other side, you've got Charlie Kirk, Don Jr., and Megyn Kelly that are massively in favor of Dr. Casey Means. So, and not only that, but Steve Bannon, who said, if you merge MAHA and MAGA, it's like 1932. You govern forever. I don't know. I kind of sounds a bit more like 1939 to me, but you know, details. Come on. I mean, would it be because, you know, all those considered weak-willed got killed off due to not having vaccines or actual health care? Probably. Look, MAHA to me looks like eugenics. Okay, blaming sicknesses on diets is really kind of just shifting the blame onto individuals and their bad choices as opposed to actual, medical reality. Just saying. I'm not saying that environmental factors and foods don't contribute to the health outcomes of people. Yes, of course it does. But what MAHA does is that it basically blames the individual and their habits for all sicknesses, okay? Or their choices. Oh, you didn't do this. You ate a cheeseburger once, or you took a vaccine, or, all that stuff. So whatever happens to you, that's your fault. And the problem is that it's one step removed from saying that we shouldn't help you, with your sickness, with your illness, because you made bad choices. And so therefore, yeah, you created this problem. You solve it yourself. And we're not going to help you. That's what MAHA looks like to me. I don't think that's going to make anyone healthier. If anything, it's going to make the sick die faster. And unfortunately, I think that is the point. So, there you go. All right. Moving on here. The Nazis have taken over. We're living in the BioShock Infinite universe. Ooh. Good game, bad reality. Just about it, too. All right. It appears there was a bit of a standoff outside the Library of Congress. Two Trump officials were temporarily blocked from entering the Library of Congress, showing you that this there's still a bit of resistance inside our government. Two Justice Department officials, Paul Perkins, an Associate Deputy Attorney General, and Brian Neves, a Deputy Chief of Staff and Senior Policy Counsel, were trying to get into the Copyright Office. Yeah. And, well, they weren't allowed in. They were denied entry about 9 a.m., according to sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity. The pair had brought a letter from the White House declaring that they were going to be serving in two top positions at the library under Trump's former lawyer, Todd Blanche. So just to show you how that guy got rewarded, he was put in a top position at the Library of Congress. Yes. He was named acting librarian of Congress by Trump on Monday, an appointment that does have to be confirmed by the Senate, but you think he cares? No, of course not. Now, the letter reportedly declared that Perkins would be acting as Register of Copyrights and Director of the Copyright Office, while Neves would be the acting Deputy Librarian. So, what exactly happened in this little standoff? Well, basically, they showed up, they had a letter, and staffers blocked them from coming in. Now, staff members called the Capitol Police to intervene, and what happened is that the standoff ended peacefully after General Counsel Meg Williams asked these two individuals to leave and said, "You are not allowed access to the Copyright Office, so get the F out." And they did. They left. Now, Trump had taken over this library after firing the former Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden, on Thursday. He then also fired the director of the Copyright Office, Cheryl Perlmutter, over the weekend, according to reports. That said, the staff at the library are not recognizing Trump's staffing changes. That's right. Instead, they see Robert Newland as their new interim replacement instead. So there you go. Newland was principal deputy librarian and Hayden's second in command. They're saying hell no to Todd Blanche. And they're also waiting for Congress to step in. So how is that going? Apparently not great, although you do have one member, Representative Joe Morell, who did describe Trump's termination of Perlmutter in particular as a brazen, unprecedented power grab with no legal basis in a statement Saturday. So that's about the strongest statement on that one. But nonetheless, I'm still got to wait for the rest of Congress to get involved here. But anyway, why was Perlmutter fired anyway? Well, it turns out that she made some people angry, particularly Trump's donors, after publishing a report that is critical of artificial intelligence. Okay, specifically talking about how, hey, maybe AI should not be allowed to train itself on people's copyrighted works. The stuff that should be, protected by copyright. You got these Silicon Valley, tech bros, tech lords, whatever you want to call them, that have been training their AI models on other people's work. Specifically like art, okay? To get all the AI to do all the art while we get stuck doing the menial crap, which is pretty ridiculous because shouldn't it be the opposite? It shouldn't be, the AI, the computers be doing all the menial BS work while the humans can do the art? Apparently not. Apparently in our tech dystopia, everything is inverted in one of the worst, most dumbest ways, by the way. But anyway, the report says that, hey, look, you shouldn't be allowed to use fair use, okay? In a report, the Copyright Office says that while it's not possible to prejudge the outcome of all individual cases, there are limitations on how much AI companies can count on using fair use as a defense when training their models on this copyrighted content. For example, the report says research and analysis would probably be allowed. That makes sense. I mean, using AI for research and analysis does make sense. But using it to create art and stuff? No. Making commercial use of vast troves of copyrighted works to produce expressive content that competes with them in existing markets, especially where this is accomplished through illegal access, goes beyond established fair use boundaries. 100%. Now, that said, AI tech bros like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, they're not very happy about that. In fact, they probably told Donald Trump to fire Perlmutter. And so, of course, he did, like a good little bitch. I mean, Donald Trump, got to understand that he is not really running the show here. Okay, this is all the donors, the AI guys, the tech bros, and the Project 2025 people. They're really running this administration. Donald Trump just serves as the orange face. Okay, he's the guy who is just smart enough to operate the pen. That's it. He's doing the stupid things, obviously, because they're just letting him do the stupid things because it's a distraction. While the rest of them, they do the really evil stuff. Okay, they're coming for Social Security, Medicaid. They're staffing the government with their little underlings. Okay, the blunderkins. And so that's what's going on here. Okay, while we're distracted with the ridiculousness of Trump, you got these people out here that are really doing this hostile takeover of the government. And I really do hope that there are staffers that continue to keep fighting against this and stymie them until the midterms, where I really do hope that, yes, I know it's a small hope, but it's a hope indeed, that you have a Democratic majority staffed with actual fighters, okay? And I know this is a rather big ask of me to actually have Democrats willing to fight as a majority. I mean, look at you, Chuck Schumer, because you ain't exactly all that strong, okay? But I am hoping that we can get some strong people in the, elected in the midterms, and to have a majority that can finally put a check on the Trump regime. But once again, I guess on that front, we'll have to see. But Resistance like this, though, is pretty important in trying to hold back this aggressive takeover of our government. And I say it our government because it belongs to all of us, not just the MAGA freaks. He's the Orange King while various Grima whirring tongues whisper in his ear, says Grand Theft Autobot. Yes, that is a great comparison right there. And one that would actually make my wife really happy because she's a huge Lord of the Rings fan. And so am I, by the way. I love Lord of the Rings. But yeah. My local Dems are all boomer entitled Nepo babies. So yeah, the primaries. You got to get rid of those people. If they ain't fighting or trying to fight, if they're enabling, get them out. Get them out. That's all I have to say on that one. Okay. Trump disappointed Todd Blanche as acting librarian of Congress. Yeah, his personal lawyer. It's so the entire it is so comically corrupt, this administration, and so many people just MAGA just misses it, gone. Oh, what's that? Oh, this is unprecedented levels of corruption. I don't see it, guys. It's really the Democrats that are bad. Yeah, they're the corrupt ones. Like, whatever. It's both comically stupid and just disastrously, like, bad. Okay. Is that even legal? It shouldn't be. Okay, and it's not like there's anybody right now who could even challenge Donald Trump with his immunity and all that stuff. So yeah. This new plane's totally bugged with video and audio. You know what? I hope it is. I hope it is, and that it, gets leaked to the press. Oh, that'd be great. Absolutely. Free is never really free. Let me just say that. Getting a free $400 million plane. You're kidding me. Okay, but anyway, gotta get to that next segment here. The DNC is too incompetent to be that corrupt. Oh, no, I was actually talking about the Trump administration being absolutely corrupt. But yes, there are significant issues with the DNC right now, with them attempting to get rid of 2 of their vice chairs. Oh, yeah, no, we need to have a redo because, it turns out that, David Hogg is saying too many things that we don't like, Let me tell you what, David Hogg is he's the compromise position. Okay, that's really it. He is the compromise position. And he's not some like wild-eyed leftist, okay? But even he's like, yo, what are we doing? we're not fighting back here. And we're just, 27% approval rating for the Democratic Party. That is an absolute disgrace. It is an embarrassment. And the leadership of the Democratic Party still refuses to do absolutely nothing about it. They're just going to sit there and be like, we don't have any leverage at all. Okay. Absolutely ridiculous. And frustrating. But anyway. Let's talk about porn. Oh my goodness. Okay. Where is that particular? Nope. Okay. A Republican senator is looking to get more big government into your life to ensure that you don't look at porn. Yeah, that's right. Senator Mike Lee of Utah has reintroduced a bill that has failed several times before that would effectively ban pornography at the federal level. That's right. Here are the details. The Interstate Obscenity Definition Act, or IOTA, introduced by Lee and Illinois Republican Representative Mary Miller on Thursday, would change the Supreme Court's 1973 Miller test for determining what qualifies as obscene. Oh, interesting. Now, Lee said in a press release, obscenity isn't protected by the First Amendment, but hazy and unenforceable legal definitions have allowed extreme pornography, and gee, I wonder what you're looking at, Mike, to saturate American society and reach countless children. Our bill updates the legal definition for obscenity for the internet age so this content can be taken down and its peddlers prosecuted. Okay. So what exactly is the Miller test here? Well, I mean, you've heard of the saying, you know it when you see it, right? And that was during that 1973 Supreme Court case. But basically, it's whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that the work, taken as a whole, appeals to the prurient interest. Whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct specifically defined by the applicable state law, and whether the work taken as a whole lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Now, Lee's, according to his press release, he says his bill would redefine obscenity within the Communications Act of 1934 as content that taken as a whole appeals to the prurient interest in nudity, sex, or excretion. Again, browser history. And depicts, describes, or represents actual or simulated sexual acts with the objective meant to arouse, titillate, because you can't have that, or gratify the sexual desires of a person, which, taken as a whole, or taken by a whole, no, not doing, lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. I'm sorry, I can't help myself here. These people are ridiculous. These bills are ridiculous. Okay, that's really it. Okay, but yeah, apparently, you know, when it comes to you know, I guess after a hard day of work, you want to go look at some internet porn. Mike Lee's like,
Can't let that happen.
No, you're not allowed. Big government is not going to allow you to look at that stuff. Okay. Not interested. Okay, we don't want that. Now, most importantly, it completely removes the intent requirement from current law, which currently prohibits the transmission of obscenity for the purposes of abuse, threats, or harassment. So, yeah. This would mean that anyone sharing or posting content that is in any way sexual or intended to arouse would be guilty of a federal crime. So much for love and freedom, everybody. Can't have it. Look, here's the thing, okay? Yes, this is Mike Lee's bill, but it's Project 2025 in action, okay? Not only are they trying to destroy, like, people's ability to look at naked images online, okay? And by the way, I'm not saying that pornography doesn't have issues. There are labor issues that surround it. You know, there's consent issues that surround it. There's perhaps even the, you know, unrealistic depictions of relationships and reality that could be an issue. You don't want minors being able to access that, obviously, because that's going to cause potential problems. There's also potential problems of, you know, people that try to use that to escape reality and then harm themselves as a result, harm relationships and things like that. That stuff does happen, but it is very, very minuscule. Okay. And so, look, again, pornography is fine in moderation. And as long as there's good labor practices and consent, I'm all for it. All for it, right? But here's the thing about these bills, okay? Right-wingers are going to try to use this against trans people. What? Hold on, wait. What does it have to do with trans people? Look, redefining pornography was part of Project 2025. Okay, and what they want to do is basically, if you are a trans person and you post a picture of yourself online, Republicans want to call that pornographic and then criminalize you for it. Oh, you're posting pornography. What are you talking about? There's nothing pornographic about this image. It titillates something. Just because you're being titillated, yeah, and you know, you're massively, I guess, a chaser, or you're in the closet or whatever, does not mean that the person who's posting this stuff is a criminal. Okay, but that's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do. And they're trying to criminalize literal existence of transgender people while claiming that they're, of course, they're protecting the children, right? Oh, they're protecting the children. Well, hold on here. This is not about age gating online pornography or anything like that, or any of the measures that would potentially protect children, right? No, this is about ensuring that no one can see content that might arouse or titillate someone else. Oh, well, yeah, you know what? Just because you can't arouse your wife, Mike Lee, doesn't mean that you need to be taking your hang-ups out on everyone else, because that's what you're doing. But the irony, of course, of saying that you're protecting the children is, I mean, yes, massive irony. Okay, the people that are harming your children tend to be MAGA for the most part. All right. Again, Ricky Wynn recently was charged with, this is a MAGA influencer, recently charged with creating, what is it? Child sexual abuse material. Justin Eichhorn, who's a Republican in Minnesota, recently was arrested for soliciting sex from what he believed was a minor, but was actually a federal agent. Then you had a former leader of a Texas megachurch, one of Donald Trump's spiritual advisors, who also allegedly sexually abused a child. MAGA is more of a threat to your children than any of the stuff that I've mentioned before. Okay, this is nothing but projection, y'all. Projection. Okay, but now, look, this is a bill that is not only completely unnecessary, but again, it also harms sex workers. Okay, I believe sex work is real work. I believe sex workers need to be protected. All right, it's also against the LGBTQ community, and also is deeply unconstitutional and deeply anti-freedom. Which again, when you look at, oh yeah, no, we're the party of freedom and freedom fries and all that stuff, but we want to ban your porn. What? And you know, look, Ted Cruz, biggest so-called pro-freedom guy, limited to people in Texas to what, 6 sex toys, voted to do that. And these are some of the most repressed people on the planet. Okay. Now, Ricky Joy Levy, president and CEO of the Woodhull Freedom Foundation, said about Lee's bill that it would make the definition of obscenity so broad that TV shows like Game of Thrones could fall under its purview and get banned, I guess. Robert Corn Revere, chief counsel of the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, added, "It really struck me that there's nothing about that definition that I think would survive constitutional review." Yeah, not only that, but Lee seems to believe that virtually any depiction of human sexuality is obscene. And that's really kind of the point, says Levy. All right. To loosen the definition of obscenity so it's more broad and the government is removed of the obligation to prove patent offensiveness. In that way that, this would give the government a lot more leeway to target porn producers and distributors with criminal sanctions. So, yeah, it's about attempting to crush freedom and liberty while inserting big government into our personal lives. I thought you were against that whole thing. The Republicans supposed to be against that. But no, they're massively in favor of it. Okay? Government small enough to get into your bedroom and be inserted somewhere. That's pretty much it. Look, here's the thing. All right? Nobody cares what you're spanking it to. All right? As long as it features adults and is consensual. That's it. And look, yes, I just said nobody cares, but really, a lot of the right wing seems to. Even though a lot of the right wing is some of the bigger, consumers of pornography. So, but they're obsessed though. They're obsessed with putting themselves and your personal life into your bedroom. It's disgusting, but not at all surprising. Okay. Stay the F out of people's personal business and focus on housing and healthcare. Wouldn't that be nice? But again, we have a regime that is very Nazi-ish because they did the Nazis did the same kind of things, even down to this focus on natalism, right? With making sure that, we got to have more babies, more white babies, of course, got to have that. We're going to have some motherhood medals and give them what? A $2,000 to $5,000 baby bonus or whatever, which barely covers anything. Okay, the reason that people are not having children is because we can't afford it. Okay, that's it. But yeah, consensual is the key word. Yes, I'll bet they think less porn, more babies. You're absolutely right about that, though. More white male babies. Yeah, but also they want white girl babies so that they can have, they could be the next generation of womb bearers. Okay. All right. So there you go. Why are conservatives so obsessed with what's in other people's pants? Gotta ask them. These people, I swear to God, trans people live rent-free in right-wingers' heads. Just all this stuff. They're obsessed. And they're weird. They're weird. Speaking of weird, okay, or at least the people who call the right wing weird, I want to switch over to Governor Tim Walz, by the way. And actually, Tim Walz's son, Gus. So, yeah, that was not a very smooth segue, but, screw it.
We'll do it live.
There you go. All right, so let's move on here and talk about Gus. I am so sorry to hear that, Alpon. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope things get better for you. Yeah. Because this country is so effed. Especially towards people who are not only homeless, but also, or unhoused, but transgender. So horrible. But good luck on your interview. Hopefully you ace it. I have a friend who is also dealing with a difficult time, but she is not transgender, but she is a lefty queer veteran. And if you want to help her, I can throw the GoFundMe link in the video here. If you could help her out, appreciate that. And also, Alpen, if you have a fundraiser yourself, I would be more than happy to share that in order to give you, see if we can help you out with a little bit of mutual aid. Let's see. I will get to that after the show. After I'm done with this last segment here, and get it all prepared, because I wasn't going to share it right out. Wanted to make sure that y'all, we're okay with it first. Okay. All right. Son of Minnesota Governor and former VP pick Tim Walz, Gus Walz recently sat down for an interview with CBS Mornings. And in this interview, he addressed some of the criticism that he received from the far right for getting too emotional, apparently, during his father's appearance at the DNC convention last August. So, look, during that, he cried, he stood up, he pointed, he said, "That's my dad," when his father took the stage. Now, I thought that was a very touching moment. He was just proud of his dad for being there, for being in such an important position. I mean, again, chosen to be the vice presidential nominee. That's really important. And look, as somebody who just lost his dad, it hasn't even been a month yet since it happened. Thinking back on that moment and how proud he was, it kind of hits me hard. Okay. And that said, it also makes me furious that there were people out there who actually made fun of him for expressing emotion, being proud of his dad, and showing people. How dare you show a positive emotion, they say. Oh my God, terrible. But anyway, Gus, apparently not bothered. He went on CBS Mornings to talk about that experience. Take a look.
That's my dad. He's right there. He's right in front of all of America, all these people chanting our last name. It was super overwhelming because to me, he's just regular old dad, just normal dad, golfs with me, make food, clean the cars, everything like that. And in that moment, it was something bigger. It was just surreal.
There were some people who were mean about it. What do you remember about that?
I just kind of ignored it, I guess, was the only way to put it. I just continued to do what I do. I just blocked it out because I was just being emotional. Like, there's nothing wrong with showing emotions. And if people are going to say there's something wrong with that, then those are not the people that I want to be associated with. Amen. So kind of just blocked that out.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. If people are going to be jerks, they're going to be terrible people, then yeah, I don't want to be associated with terrible people. Awesome. I love it. Cut out the negative people, cut out the toxicity, ignore the weirdos who believe that the only valid emotion men are allowed to feel is like anger or something. I think those people are very unhealthy, that they are broken inside. Okay. Now, that said, he added that this felt crazy in a bit of a good way to have seen his father in the spotlight, as he had already mentioned. Now, that said, I'm going to show you another video here where he's basically opening up with, about living with ADHD, the anxiety disorder, and even the nonverbal learning disorder. So let's take a look at that.
If someone has dyslexia, that's on one side of the brain. The nonverbal learning disorder is the other side of the brain. And that's where maybe reading facial cues or understanding vocal tone or understanding gestures, but everything that is not spoken. I'm
like one of the most normal people that you could find.
Gus was diagnosed in the 6th grade.
Routine really helps me, consistency. So I think my mom and me were like, all right, let's go try and figure some stuff out. And that's really kind of what started us getting super, super close. We figured out, I have challenges, but it also gives me strengths in other areas. And we've figured out how to use each of those.
You know what? That also hits home with me because I have ADHD. It's fairly mild in my case, and I'm fortunate for that, but it is still something that I have to deal with. Okay. Look, and speaking of ADHD, there's some people with emotional dysregulation, which can present as being super overexcited. Although I think that he was the right amount excited because his dad was literally up on stage at the DNC. So that's really awesome. And not only that, but look, this can also present as being overwhelmed by emotion, which you're allowed to be able to feel. Okay, you should be able to feel emotion. Now, Gwen had also mentioned the nonverbal learning disorder, which she said that can, that it can make it difficult to read facial cues or understand tones or gestures, things like that. So now, obviously, Gus has no issues with speaking. Okay, you just heard him. Totally fine. What the nonverbal learning disability means is that, yes, some people may have trouble making sense of physical objects in the world around them, or to understand the relationship between objects in a given space. They might also have a hard time picturing concepts in their mind or solving problems that involve, mental imagery. Obviously, though, he's an incredibly bright young man. And what really makes me happy is that he has so much family support. And I think that's really, really important. I love to see it. And they're doing the right thing. And he is also doing the right thing in making sure to ignore the weirdo right-wing haters who, again, just try to crap all over everything, right? No, this is a good story. I'm glad he's speaking out. I'm glad he's out there, and that their family is out there, talking about these issues. And I just love to see it. I have ADHD too, and without taking anything, not fun sometimes. Yeah, no, I 100%. I am with you on that one. Look, I spent 38 years raw dogging life before, I got in the right kind of medication. So it was really important to do. Not everybody can access that. Not everybody is able to, get that medication or any of that and to be able to afford it, because it is extremely prohibitively expensive, because healthcare in this country is a freaking joke. Okay, absolute joke. And by the way, it takes a lot of, trial and error sometimes for people to get the right kind of medication, or the right kind of therapy and things like that. So, it's really difficult for somebody with not only ADHD, but also, go ahead. But ADHD and some of these issues, to be able to get that help. And so it is really good to see that there is a good support network for this young man. Okay. Raw dog in life. Absolutely. Go ahead and post that. That's fine. We'll get some mutual aid going. I think that's really, really important. So yeah, if you could post that in here, I'd appreciate that. And we can get that out there. With that said, that's all the stories that I got for y'all today. Thank you for watching the show. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember to like and share the stream. Consider, I know I did a lot of asks here today, but consider supporting the show. If you haven't already, sign up. You can become a you can become a channel member. You can become a patron. All that stuff. So that would really, really help. If you can go and support the show through those various methods. Let's see. Couple comments here. Showing emotion is crying okay if you're, or is only okay only if you're a right winger on trial for murder. There you go. There you go. I cried watching Gus Walz, and I've never been called a P. I pave. I work ships, fishing Svalbard. Ooh. And now work sewers. But I love my dad, so that moment killed me every time I saw it. Yeah, and again, as someone who just lost, his dad not even a month ago from leukemia. I mean, that absolutely freaking hits hard, just really super hard, and yeah. So, I feel you, man. I feel you. That's HFK Rex. Thank you for that comment. Diddy cried in his court thing yesterday. Yeah, but he's been accused of some pretty horrific stuff. Horrific. All right. Why don't I, if you're here tomorrow, send that, fundraiser to, try and send that again, or send it through my BlueSky. That's you can see where that my BlueSky link is, or I should say that my account is, and go ahead and send that to me, and I'll put it in the chat tomorrow during tomorrow's show. So if you're back here tomorrow, so do that. Let me just wait for to make sure I got the BlueSky thing. That's at jeffwaldorf.bsky.social. So yeah, I'll post that in the chat as well. So yeah, send it to me over on BlueSky, and I could post that tomorrow. Just if you're here tomorrow, just remind me. Okay, because, ADHD, I forget. But if you do that, then I'll be more than happy to post your, fundraiser. So see if we can get you some, mutual aid. All right. With that said, thank you all. Appreciate you. Take care of your, friends, your families, your communities. Change begins with you at the bottom. That said, love you all, and we'll see you hopefully here tomorrow. Logically Left, signing off.